Hey guys, what's going on? Back with another video. How's everybody doing? So it's that time of the week again, time for football picks, predictions, discussions, hot takes, all that stuff. So basically, a couple of years ago, so 2016, I started doing this. Essentially what I do is I go through every game that's going on, every football game during the week in a football season, give my picks and, predictions, talk about each game, who I think is going to win, recap the last week, basically talk sports for like, I don't know however long this is, like 15 minutes or so. Last year I forgot to do it, and then somebody reminded me, so I did it again. Now I just do it. So this is what it is. Let's talk some sports. I mean, I probably watch too much football when you think about it, but I mean, I think it's I tend to know what I'm talking about with this stuff here. Huge football fan. Can't get enough of this stuff. All right, so week 10. It's already week 10. Season's flying by. On the other hand, though, it seems like it's already at the point where, like, you know who the final four teams are now. Like, you can really just kind of do it now if you wanted. Like, there's not, in terms of like, teams that are in the hunt or like kind of on the fringe. There could be some movement there, but it's basically in the NFC, the Rams and the Saints, and then in the AFC, it's the Patriots and the Chiefs. You could just kind of do it now. I mean, we all kind of see how this one's going to play out, but nonetheless, week 10, 7 more weeks of football. You gotta enjoy this while it's here. First game, Thursday night, Panthers and Steelers. So finally, we're not getting a garbage Thursday night game. I've really said this on several occasions that it seems like, that the same way that on Sunday night they pick, what seem to be the best games to go then. It seems like they pick the worst games for Thursday night, but we're not having any of that. We got Panthers at Steelers. That's a pretty good game. The Panthers. Well, actually, let's talk about the Steelers first, because Le'Veon Bell has to report in a few days. Otherwise, he's not going to play. I said at the beginning of the season, when it was, came out that he was holding out, that if your biggest story is that your diva running back isn't reporting, that your team is really not going to go far if that's kind of the focus on the team, right? And the Steelers came out, played just awful the first few weeks of the season. Really looks like it was, it was over there. But they've turned things around. They got the swagger going now, I would say. Connor's really done a good job taking over for Le'Veon Bell. It really almost seems like, they don't need him. I mean, it doesn't just seem like they don't need him to win. They've been winning without him. Beating the Ravens last week, then the Bengals a couple weeks before that, Falcons, Ravens again, Browns. Even though that doesn't really count. So they've been on a tear. They've had it together down the stretch here. Now in the preseason, they actually played the Panthers 139-24. It was the fourth game. That doesn't even matter really. But when you think about it, you got the Chiefs and the Patriots in the AFC. And then I think if you had to go to like a number 3 team, you'd probably say the Steelers at this point, only because it seems like the Ravens kind of flamed out, or at least are starting to. So if you think about it here, like if the playoffs started today, right? Like let's say, go to like the playoff picture, and let's say if it started today, like what kind of matchups would we have? Like what kind of chance would the Steelers have? Because the last few years it's been Patriots and Steelers at the top. Jaguars kind of came onto the scene last year, but that's kind of been, the way it's transpired here. And now they're the 3rd seed. The Bengals are in the picture. The Chargers are in there. So right now, if the playoffs started today, you'd get Bengals and Steelers in your wild card round. You get Chargers and Texans also would be the other wild card game coming out of the AFC. So, if you think about it, let's say, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed, Patriots are number 2 seed. Chiefs would play the winner of that game. They get the Steelers. Chiefs would probably beat them in that game. But you can see how the Steelers have turned it around, and they're kind of, they should at least be in the divisional round here going forward. But this year it really seems like the Chiefs are just so high octane, so high powered and high flying that I really think it's going to come down to like assuming that the Rams can beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will lose one game, just one. I don't think they're going to lose much other than that, because the only real team that they play the rest of the season is the Rams. I could see the Chiefs losing that game. So then let's say they're 8-2. Patriots, the other AFC leader, probably are going to end up playing. I don't see them losing at all the rest of the way, and if they do lose, it might be to the Steelers. I don't think they'll lose to the Vikings, so that's really their only other real game. left on the schedule here. So you might get the Patriots as the #1 seed, Chiefs #2. But as far as the Steelers go, they're a good team, but they're just not in that AFC Championship game class like they've been the last few years. But in terms of this game, the Panthers, on the other hand, the Panthers are an interesting team because they're not, like outright like in the conversation in the NFC, only because the Rams and the Saints. I really think the Saints did beat the Rams, so we are kind of biased in terms of that, in terms of the game that happened on Sunday afternoon. But I really do think that the Saints are better than the Rams. They're just, Drew Brees is a gamer. He's experienced. It really seems like this is his year. It's really an MVP year for him. Things are clicking on that team. And the Rams, I've just never been, not never, but I think the Rams are overrated. I know that's a hot take. But the Rams are a team that, like they were really not playoff contenders the last few years. Now all of a sudden out of nowhere they were like 8-0 or whatever they got to before they lost on Sunday to the Saints. That's not a team. Jared Goff, you can say what you want about him. It's really more about all the weapons that are around Jared Goff than Jared Goff himself in that case. But that's not a team that's faced a ton of adversity and has had to figure out how to play left-handed. You know what I mean? Like, that's a team that's just blown doors the whole season. And, traditionally, a team like that, when they face a good defense, not that there are really a ton of good defenses around the league this year, that, a team like that, when they have to, like, let's say, whether it's the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or somewhere along the line where, you face a defense and a defensive coordinator that knows how to take away, and they do have a ton of weapons, I'm not going to lie, but, that knows how to make them play with their left hand, that make them, have to run the ball consistently, that takes away the deep ball, that gets some sacks going, that gets pressure. Then all of a sudden, when they can't play the way they want to play, which is fast and high-flying and get out ahead early, keep the foot on the gas, when they have to play differently, teams like that usually can't do it. So that's kind of what I think about the Rams. The Saints, on the other hand, you got Drew Brees and Sean Payton, two veterans. That's a real team. I'd have to put them ahead as far as that goes. But in terms of for the NFC. And in other news in the NFC, the Panthers, so they beat the Buccaneers last week. That's just an extension of the Browns. Beat the Ravens, beat the Eagles, lost to the Redskins. And, it's a good team, right? Not that they're going to get past the Saints in the NFC South, although they are 6-2 to the Saints, 7-1. Falcons and Buccaneers are out of the, really out of the, out of contention down there. And then you go look at the playoff picture coming off of that, right? And you think about the Panthers, because the Panthers have been a playoff team the last, several years now. But if you look at the playoff picture in the NFC, because the Rams and the Saints are at the top, the Panthers are down to the 5th seed. They got the Redskins and the Bears, of all people. You wouldn't think. If I told you that Week 10 the Bears are the 3rd seed in the NFC, you probably wouldn't have believed that. But, as it stands right now, they play the Redskins at home. They'd probably be able to win that game. But they're not going to get past the Saints or the Rams in a divisional, in a divisional game. I just don't see that. I don't see that one happening. So they're both good teams, and what's interesting about this game, as I've explained here, is that they're both really in the same spot. They're both not the class of their conference, but they have the talent to be in the conversation and be in the picture. So it's really like the AFC and NFC equivalent of the same team, I would say. And when it comes down to who's going to win, I just feel like the Steelers have just got it all. They've got it all together now. They've got it all clicking, firing on all cylinders. I got the Steelers winning this game. Now, I'm not going to go into that much detail about every single game. That one, it's just there's a lot going on there with that matchup, so I did. The rest of these games, Redskins, Buccaneers. Buccaneers are just bad. Give me the Redskins. Next game, Cardinals and Chiefs Sunday, 1 o'clock. Cardinals are trash. Give me the Chiefs. Bills and Jets. Give me the Jets. Bills suck. Jaguars and Colts. This is another one. So I'm really not too sure what happened with the Jaguars this year. They were so strong last season, at the end of last season. They got the name Saxonville for a reason. Their defense, their pressure on the quarterback, blitzing. Just tremendous defense, right? And then they come into this year, first couple weeks, doing the same thing, playing great. And it's not like they had any, catastrophic, injury, like the quarterback's down or anything like that, it just kind of fell apart for them. They beat the Patriots 31-20 in week 2, and then it really started in week 3, I would say, when the Titans beat them by 9-6. Anytime you see a low-scoring game or like a tie, you just know that both teams just had meltdowns. Then, you know, they beat the Jets the following week, blown out by the Chiefs, blown out by the Cowboys, blown out by the Texans, blown out by the Eagles, and here we are against the Colts. So that's really what's going on with the Jaguars. You know, they had the bye week last week, so they had time to, you know, get right if that's what they were going to do. The Colts aren't really that hard of an opponent. So, you know, in terms of the playoffs, I think they're more or less kind of out of the picture here at 3-5. It's just not really going to get it done this year. You know, if they run the table and they're 11-5, I don't know if that would. I mean, I would think that would make the playoffs, but it just seems like they've lost their way. The Colts, on the other hand, are a team that hasn't had a way in several years. You know, they beat the Raiders, but that doesn't tell you anything. Beat the Bills, doesn't tell you anything. Jets, doesn't tell you anything. Lost to the Patriots, tells you something. But the Colts, I would say, just going off of the last several weeks, have had their act together ever so slightly more than the Jaguars. The Jaguars are the underdog in this game, but I'd give it to the Jaguars just because I feel like, I mean, were they going to go like 3-13 this year? I don't see that happening. I get the Jaguars winning this game. Next game, Lions and Bears. So these are actually, like, historically, like the last 10 years, this is some like Thursday night football garbage, usually, Lions and Bears. But the Lions and Bears have showed you something this year. Now the Lions, in terms of the playoffs, probably not going to make much noise this year. They came out bad, except for the win against the Patriots. They weren't doing a whole lot. But Matt Patricia out there, they've turned things around. You know, they've slowly but surely got things going the right way. The Bears, on the other hand, Mitchell Trubisky, alongside the defense, has done enough to, you know, kind of keep that team above water, which is really like the key thing with them. I don't think. You know, they're not, again, it's another team like the Panthers. They're making noise, but they're not really going anywhere, you know, in the playoffs this year. But, you know, and I'd say both teams are kind of that way. But going into this week, I just feel like, you know, Matt Patricia and the Lions, they've got enough things going. You know, except they just can't, they have problems with the run, right? So they have a good defense, but they do have problems with the run. They have problems with, you know, like we saw with that Dolphins game, that they couldn't close it out and ended up losing. They had like several opportunities to, and, you know, missed kicks, and it's you know, it can get iffy. But I'd go with the Lions in this game because Matt Patricia has enough experience to kind of take advantage of those things. But it'll be a close game. The Bears could just as easily win. I got the Lions. Next game, forget this one. Saints-Bengals, give me the Saints. Patriots-Titans. This one's interesting. This is why this one's interesting. The Titans are like, it's like a Patriots reunion on that team, right? You've got Malcolm Butler, the cornerback, Dion Lewis, the running back, Logan Ryan, the other cornerback. It's like the 2016 Patriots, like that Super Bowl champion team. It's like a reunion of that whole team. Just on the, like, they all left in free agency or got traded. Or I think Logan Ryan got traded. And then Jason McCourty, who was on the Titans, went to the Patriots. This is like it's a very strange family reunion going on in this game. So the big story of this week is that Malcolm Butler, who, you know, as we know, was benched in the Super Bowl, very questionable decision. I don't know if we'll ever find out really why, but, you know, that's what happened to him. You saw him crying on the sideline before that game. You know, and then he just kind of left on a really bad note there. And unfortunately, because it seems like he's a good guy, it only got worse for Malcolm Butler. He went to the Titans. He's been bad. He's been getting torched. He got torched on Monday night by Amari Cooper. You know, he's physical. He's invested in the game. He plays his heart out. But he just gets beat. And he was good his first couple of years. And then last year he started, you know, having problems with the Patriots. He started, like, just trying to, like, not do too much, but he was, like, looking at the quarterback and just too aggressive. Just not, you know, he was, like, trying to get some big highlight reel play and, you know, was making mistakes and just hasn't been good and has just lost his way. And it's really been a continuation of that with the Titans. And you feel bad for him just because that's a guy, you know, you kind of want to see do well. It's a good story with him. He was working at like Popeyes, I think, and then all of a sudden he was undrafted and comes to the Patriots and wins the Super Bowl on that play, intercepting Russell Wilson. And he's been bad, so it's unfortunate. Dion Lewis, on the other hand, on the Titans, guy's a force. Not a force, like he's not like a big power back, but he's elusive. He's fast. He jukes and all, that whole thing. Patriots didn't want to pay him either, so he goes to the Titans. He's been good. Logan Ryan, really can't tell you much about him other than that. That's coming from the Patriots. He's kind of in the bunch there with the reunion. So Patriots are going down there, beat the Packers, on Sunday night football. Great. Well, I don't know if it was a great game, but it was nice to see that matchup, I would say. They had some problems at the beginning of the year, like they always do. They're always like mixing and matching and figuring out what they want to do with their personnel. And now they've won like 7 straight or 6 straight, or I think like 6 straight. They've got their bye week after this week, so they haven't had their bye week yet. They've been looking good. I mean, they have had problems. The problems I would say that the Patriots have had, they've had problems in the red zone. They've had problems both with red zone defense, but especially red zone offense. Like this Packers game, which, I'm sure you've watched, was the national Sunday night game. They sucked in the red zone. It was very weird. Like usually they're good with that, but they've had problems. Like they throw in this like fade and like a bootleg and not very good in the red zone. But it seems like that was kind of called to attention here. Everybody's kind of noticed that, so you'd think they'd improve that. But this Titans team has had problems, and I feel like this is historically Bill Belichick. When he's playing against guys that you think. That they should have been able to beat when he's playing against, not guys, not only that, but when he's playing against guys that he should have paid or people think he should have paid or that left on bad terms that were traded and like everybody, like the kind of game where like people want to, like guys on the Titans like Butler and like Lewis want to prove something like, you should have paid me, and they, want to come out and they want to have a big game and show you something. Usually in these games, historically, Bill Belichick blows teams out just to try to show you that he's right, and he kind of gives you that ego thing. I don't really think it's going to be that, even though I think Dion Lewis will have a good game, just because he's a good player. But I feel like because of just like the unprecedented level of flack that Bill Belichick has gotten over benching Malcolm Butler, that he's not going to want to have Malcolm Butler like picking off, like having all these stops and he's not going to want to go into this game and have Malcolm Butler make like these huge 3rd down stops like people wished he could have participated in the Super Bowl, right? Because he benched him, so he's not going to want to see that. Instead, it's going to be like a, like an "I told you so," really on both sides, but especially for Belichick, just because of how much flack he's gotten. I'd expect him to just keep throwing Butler's way and just getting. I'd expect to see like Bill Belichick getting like Josh Gordon matched up with Malcolm Butler and having him just burn him down the field. Like that's Bill Belichick. He's got an ego. He's got an attitude. I'd expect to see that. Like that's what this guy's gonna do. Dion Lewis, they'll bring. They don't want those guys having big games just because they don't want the "I told you so" thing. The optics of that. The Patriots are always insensitive to stuff like that. I got the Patriots winning this game. It'll be a blow. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I just feel like the Patriots have problems to fix and things to prove, and to the extent that they have things to prove, they have to prove that the other team doesn't have what it takes to prove what they have to prove. You know what I mean? So I got the Patriots win this game. Next game, Falcons and Browns. Falcons, not that either team is that remarkable. Chargers and Raiders. Chargers and Raiders. Give me the Chargers. Chargers are looking pretty damn good. They're going to Seattle and they win, even though Seattle's a shell of itself. Yeah, the Chargers. I love me some Chargers. I mean, is this an AFC Championship game team, meaning they'd have to get past the Patriots or the Chiefs? No, but it's close to being a damn good team. If the Chiefs weren't so well, I'd put them in the AFC Championship game. But, it's a top-heavy year. Top-heavy league this year. But I really like what the Chargers have done. They've been good for several years now. It's just that they've lost these close games. I've talked about that in other videos. Like, they'll lose games like 30-28 or something. You know what I mean? But now they've got it going. They've got it going. Talented team. Very good team. So, you know, I almost want to say that like AFC divisional round, like they could like stun the Chiefs and win, but that's probably not going to happen. That would be interesting. But the Chiefs, San Diego, I still call them San Diego Chiefs. That's I'm sorry, San Diego Chargers. What am I talking about here? I still call them San Diego Chargers because the LA Chargers, that's a sham. It's ridiculous. You gotta make it out of here with the LA Chargers. It's San Diego Chargers. Next game up, Seahawks and Rams. Give me the Rams. Rams are just Rams. Rams. Packers, Dolphins. Give me the Packers. Cowboys, Eagles. Give me the... Well then. This is actually... Like, I was going to say just give me the Eagles. But the Cowboys come out and they spank the bejesus out of the... I'm having like a... How am I forgetting who the friggin' Cowboys... They just played them. They played the Titans. Yes. Yeah. I talked about that earlier in this video, actually, as a matter of fact. So how did I forget it now? God, it's getting late. That's probably what it is. So there's that, obviously. Yeah, that I forgot. But they beat the Titans. And they've had a couple of standout games this year, the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys, I gotta say, are like kind of like trash. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. They freaking lost. They lost. Sorry, I'm totally blowing it here. The Cowboys lost to the Titans. This is what happened. All right, I was watching Monday Night Football. Cowboys were beating the Titans, and I shut it off. And then today, I'm hearing all this talk about the Cowboys, and I know that they lost, but for some reason, I just had it in my mind that they won. No. They lost 28-14. So if I said earlier in this video that they beat the Titans, even though Amari Cooper did torch Malcolm Butler in that game, no, they won. I'm sorry. I just totally had this. I just remembered now. Yeah, so you got Cowboys and Eagles here. The Eagles, on the other hand, the Cowboys kind of sucked. Dak Prescott's shelved himself from 2 years ago. Eagles, on the other hand, they lost to the Panthers last week. They lost to the Vikings a couple of weeks ago. They lost to the Titans. They lost to the Buccaneers in friggin' like week 2. That's kind of a problem. Eagles, I don't want to say it's a Super Bowl hangover because they're not like getting blown away every week, but there aren't like huge breakdowns, but they just haven't been good. They haven't been themselves, but they should be able to beat this Cowboys team this week because this Cowboys team is in a rough shape. Next game up here, and I think is that the Sunday Night Football game? Yeah, it is. The last game, 49ers-Giants. What a disaster. Give me the 49ers. Giants suck. All right, guys. Well, other than that, that's going to do it for this week's picks. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you agree, disagree with anything, let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, until next time, I'll do for this one, guys. Thanks for watching.